Western. Okay, so
Yeah,
I
you have
don't see a button to put.
That's okay. So here we are. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today we're going to be talking about saving lives through animal rescue, refuge, education, and advocacy with Pete Jagoda. She was recommended by a previous guest on the show, Joanne, who wrote a book called Vegan Voices, where her story was featured. Please welcome her to the show. Thanks for coming on this wonderful Sunday morning.
Oh, thank you so much, Chef AJ. I'm so excited. I'm a little nervous, and it's an honor to be here.
Well, thank you. So, yesterday I was a guest speaker for Victoria Moran's online course called Main Street Vegan Academy. And we were talking about our vegan story and also our business stories. And one of the things I said to her is like, people are like, oh, Chef AJ, you do so much. And I don't really feel like I do. I mean, I do this show, I do cooking demos, but people that work in animal advocacy, rescue, even in animal shelters, to me, those are the real heroes, because you have to see the dark side of humanity. It's not just all puppies and kittens.
That's true. But I feel like we all have a different way of helping animals. And I feel like what you do is really powerful. So I feel fortunate to be able to do what we do. But I think that it's really important that we approach helping animals in so many different ways. Well, not just animals, but also our health and the environment.
They're all connected. That's the thing people don't understand. When you become vegan, you're not just helping animals, you're helping everything. You're helping this is why I just don't understand why there's so few of us. It's so good for everything. It's like, it doesn't, and it doesn't hurt anything. That's the other thing. It doesn't harm anything at the same time.
Absolutely. I mean, the environment, our health, humanity, human rights, and animal rights, it's all interconnected. It's not a competition, which reminds me, can I tell you a quick little story?
Of course, I love stories. Love stories.
Great. So I'm a teacher. I'm in my 36th year of being an art teacher in the public schools. Years ago, I introduced, I believe it was a magazine called Kind News, and I wanted to get different classrooms signed up to receive it. And one of the teachers came into me and said, I help children, or I work with children, not animals. And I said, it's not a competition. It's interrelated. It's not a competition. And so I think that that's a really important thing for people to remember, that when we are helping animals, we're helping community, we're helping individuals, we're helping other people as well. And the animals deserve it as much as anyone. So I just want to share that story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you were featured in a book called Vegan Voices. So tell us your vegan story, because that's what people are interested in. When, why, how long ago?
Yes. Oh, yes. We are so honored to be in this book. Joanne is a dear friend, and she's actually on our advisory board. And she and her friend Christoph are going to be doing a concert up here in June at the sanctuary. So believe it or not, when we started getting involved with rescue in 94, we were working with a group called Pet Rescue, and we would go to the shelters and we would pull dogs and cats, and we discovered that rabbits were the third most common animals at shelters. And it was a huge eye-opener. I'm thinking, why weren't we taught this in school? So about the overpopulation issue and homelessness of companion animals. The further we got into the work, we discovered the plight of all animals, farmed animals, wildlife, although we work specifically with farmed animals. And believe it or not, neither one of us were even vegetarian when we started this in 94. When we moved to this property in 93, we did not move with the idea that we're going to have a sanctuary. We wanted to live in the country. But it just was sort of an organic process where we we're involved with this rescue group. It expanded along with our awareness, and then we became vegetarian. Well, you would have thought that we'd become vegan, but there was still this big disconnect until I saw Earthlings. And I saw the documentary Earthlings shortly after it came out, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm thinking, why don't I know this? And why am I not a vegan? And so I became vegan at that time. It was 2006. And I believe that was when the Earthlings came out, 2006. And so since then, my husband and I are both vegan. We feel it's very important to help prevent, reduce any type of suffering of any kind of animal. And so that is our reason. That's like our purpose, our passion is how we feel. But I also recognize the importance of living a vegan life and how it connects with other humans, societies, environmental issues, and health.
Nice. Had you been introduced to a vegan or a plant-based diet before? Had you heard about it?
I kind of feel like I must have been disconnected. I know that sounds really strange, especially coming from a space where we're involved with rescue. But so many people, that I knew directly here in town, I would say, no, I didn't really know any.
It's interesting because there are people that work in animal rescue I love Betty White, don't get me wrong. She was very involved with animal rescue in Los Angeles, but she never actually changed her diet. And I always think about Melanie Joy's book, why we love dogs, eat pigs, and wear cows. And it's funny how people just can make a connection with certain animals to love and other ones, to eat, to wear, to experiment on. I've never understood that. But then again, I've been vegan for 45 years. So I made the connection quite early.
You did make the connection early, and I wish I had also. But I was also one of those people when we got involved with doing the companion animal rescue of dogs and cats and rabbits. I thought, oh, well, these animals, you would never eat one of these animals, and that type of thinking. But not even giving a second thought to expanding that. And I know it's really silly, having been involved with rescue. I wish I knew what the magic key was to stop that disconnect that we have in society, that we experience as individuals. Wouldn't that be great to have that answer? But I completely agree with you. We are also part of a Food for Thought campaign, which Animal Place Sanctuary in California started. And that is that recognizes that our sanctuary is a vegan-based sanctuary. We advocate vegan living. We offer workshops, compassionate living, with an emphasis on that. We do not offer anything other than vegan food at our on-site events. And so we're definitely an advocate of that. I completely recognize all of that now. And it's like you've probably heard when someone says, well, when I hear the word, how people will say sometimes to be kind of a smart aleck, bacon, if they see a pig. When I hear that, it's not funny. It's not original. And it's also like when I hear that, I see an individual. And so maybe that's the difference. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I wish I did. I do know that when people come here for tours, we introduce the animals as individuals because they all are. And we share their stories, and some of them are sad. And some of them, they've always had a wonderful life. And for circumstances, they came to us for whatever circumstances. But definitely, we regard them all as individuals and as someone, not something. It's so important.
You said you're a teacher. What age are the students that you're teaching? And have you ever been able to like instill in them some of these values through your teaching?
Well, I am an elementary art teacher, K through 5, and it was K through 6 up until this last year. Now our 6th graders go to middle school. I started my first 5 years in Arizona. And now I've been teaching up here in the Spokane Public Schools for the last 31 years. Yes, I have integrated some. I actually had a group of students from one of my schools make murals for one of the local shelters. And so we donated those murals. They were like on plywood. We donated those to that shelter. And another school, I had my students do murals for that school or for that shelter as well. And for that event, I actually had people from the Spokane Humane Society come in and speak to my kids. That was many years ago. When I'm able to incorporate lessons that speak about, kindness to animals and how to regard one another with compassion, I definitely do that. But I could absolutely do that here at home with the sanctuary. And we do art and animal workshops and have many different opportunities for people of all ages to come out here and be with the animals and learn about, we have a big garden out here. We do garden to table workshops. So we have many opportunities.
Do you ever take the kids from your class and like do a field trip to your sanctuary, or do you have to kind of separate that?
I wish that I personally could. However, I'm not in a position where I can really arrange that myself because I provide a certain, I'm going with a certain schedule at school. However, one of my schools, all of the 2nd grade kids go on field trips here at the end of the school year. Unfortunately, I'm not here for the field trip, but my husband is, and my volunteer friend Jane, who I used to teach with, is. And so we do offer field trips to kids that I have worked with. And we're trying to expand that in our school district as well. But unfortunately, I'm not able to leave the school to bring them here. But we do have school trips come out in the summertime. Like we have an express program of kids that come out every summer. We have a high school group of students who come out there in kind of a social emotional program. And so this is really a special opportunity for them to hear the stories of the animals and maybe make some of those connections. I know for myself, when I got involved with rescue, it really helped me kind of pull out of myself and think about others in ways that I wasn't expecting at all. But I think that it just naturally does. You see that there's a huge need and you want to do something for them. And then you find ways that work, and maybe that's through hands-on rescue. Maybe that's through providing sanctuary. Maybe that's through some type of outreach. Maybe that's through teaching about veganism. Maybe it's through, being a chef, like Chef AJ. And so there's so many ways to help.
Yeah. Do your kids know that you have this animal sanctuary, the ones you teach?
I believe most of them do. I mean, I have some photographs up. I talk about it a little bit. I can't just spend most of my time talking about that, but I think a lot of the students do know.
Nice. Do you ever bring like a bunny in and say, draw this? Or what type of art do you teach them?
Okay, well, it's based on the elements and the principles of design and the national standards of art standards. I can tell you a funny story. My husband is also a teacher and he teaches jewelry at the local community college. And he took in one of our goats, Oliver, who was elderly. In fact, we had Oliver until he was 18 years old, and then we had to say goodbye to him. But he took Oliver in, and Oliver was in the figure drawing class for one of his colleagues, asked if Oliver could come in and be a model. And so that was really fun. So Oliver has been there. Rabbits tend to get stressed out easily. And so I haven't taken bunnies in. We are members of the House Rabbit Society. And in fact, this afternoon, we're participating in a vaccination program for vaccinating rabbits against the rabbit hemorrhage disease virus. But they're very sensitive. So I really don't want to have them around lots of sound, lots of commotion, and all of that. So I'm a little bit protective of them. I have gone to reading nights that we've done with students, and I will say I did bring a bunny, a very calm bunny, to that, and I also brought a little silky rooster that we had to that as well. And people of all ages, for the most part, I think really do connect with animals. And so again, we ask, well, why the disconnect then? Why do we connect with them when we meet them, but then when it comes to our plates? I wish I knew the answer. I don't know. But I think that we're all doing, in this field, I think we're doing what we can to help make a difference.
I was thinking about Joanne's book, Vegan Voices. Have you thought about writing your own book with the animals at your shelter, their voice, maybe, a story on each of them?
I would love to do that. In fact, a friend of mine, because I will share stories on social media about the animals. And she said, oh, you should put together a book. And I'm thinking, when I retire. So when I retire, I'll have more time. But right now it's like having 2 full-time jobs, but I would love to. We have talked about that. We've talked about integrating photographs and also illustrations. And there's some remarkable stories. I would like to share Rudy's story. Rudy is a steer who actually right now at this moment is at the Washington State University Veterinary Teaching Hospital. And he is improving. That's the important thing. He developed aspiration pneumonia. He is improving. He came to us in 2013 from our local animal rescue agency. And he had been confiscated from where he was. And he came to us, and he was our first experience with a bovine. So we had a lot to learn. He was just like this huge, big puppy. Anyway, so we reached out to one of our veterinarians, and he said, what Rudy needs is another bovine. He needs to have someone else there who can kind of tell him how it works. So he brought up his older cow. Her name is Eula, and he brought her up here so that she could just live out her life here. And she was quite elderly, in her late teens. Well, Rudy definitely bonded with her, and he'd follow her around, and she was a little bit bigger than him, but they were definitely bonded. And it came to a time when we had to say goodbye to Eula. As I say, she was older, and he was so mournful. He just grieved and grieved and grieved. And my husband created a grave for her and gently moved her down there. Unfortunately, I was at work, so I wasn't there to witness all of this, but Rudy followed her down, and he just bawled. And then my husband gets off the tractor, and then he starts crying. He finished burying her, and Rudy just stood there for what seemed like, I think, days. And he missed her so much. And that's the other thing, is that animals experience deep emotions just like humans do. And bovines are exceptionally emotional. Their personalities are just amazing. Within 2 weeks, we welcomed 2 other steers from Montana when our friend Sue Eakins had passed away from terminal cancer. Her sanctuary, New Dawn Farm Sanctuary in Montana, closed, and her animals went to very safe places. And we welcomed Henry and Bert, her 2 steers. And when Rudy saw them, I wish I had a video of it. He just leaped with joy and he ran over to them, and it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And he was just so happy. He was so happy. I just can't say enough about the emotional lives of animals. You know, so often I remember there was a tour once. My husband gives really good tours. There was a tour and a little kid asked him, well, so do animals experience emotions? And yes, they do. But, you know, that sometimes is a common question. Sometimes they're put into a category of another that's not understood. But here they are understood, and we celebrate them as individuals, and we introduce them as individuals and share their stories.
I love it. How many animals do you currently have at your rescue?
At this time, we have approximately 115. We have, I would say the vast majority, like of our equines, are seniors, which would be 20 and older. And the vast majority of our goats are also seniors. Well, in our sheep, we have several seniors there as well. So we are taking care of a lot of seniors at our rescue. And it gets pretty costly. We have a wonderful volunteer organization. We have a lot of volunteers. They come out every morning, every afternoon. They help feed and medicate. And what's that?
I'm sorry, my little sound thing happened. So you have volunteers come every day?
Oh, yeah. We've got a terrific, strong volunteer group. Morning, afternoon, weekends. Yeah. I mean, there's no way we could do this without them. And some of them have been with us for many, many years. We are an all-volunteer organization. It is named after my dog, River, who I adopted in 1986 at the Spokane Humane Society. And he was our only dog. Well, he was surrounded by with me before I met my husband. And so then it was just the 3 of us for a very long time. And we wanted to honor him and named the organization after him.
Wow. It must cost quite a bit to feed all those animals. And how do you guys do it on teacher salaries?
Well, that's a really good point. Yeah, I would say our annual budget's probably about about 180,000. We go through about 160 tons of hay, and this last year it's gone up a tremendous amount. We do fundraisers. So our biggest fundraiser of the year is called Art for the Animals, and we used to hold it on site prior to the pandemic, and it was really fun. We would get up to 300 people out here. We would hold it in our hay barn. We actually made the walls like gallery walls. We would hang art. We had a live auction with it. We also had music, and it was also catered by Allie's Vegan Pizzeria. And we would have desserts from Boots Bakery and Lounge, all vegan. So that was our biggest fundraiser, and it still is, but now it's virtual because of the pandemic. We had to move it to be a virtual event. It has happened in July, but now we're moving it to, I want to say it's going to be in April. We do have other events. We just recently, like a week ago, we had our 10th annual Thanksgiving of Compassion with a harvest for the animals. And that's a really special event. It's not a big fundraiser. It's really an opportunity for people to come out, and we share the harvest with the animals, and they meet the individuals, and it's really a beautiful experience.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, we do. And then we also have sponsorship opportunities where people can sponsor animals, and that all takes place through our website. Or if people want to do reoccurring donations each month, it's very important. It gets very expensive. Like I say, Rudy is down at WSU Vet Hospital right now, and we're doing a fundraiser for him. It's on our website. And I just spoke with a vet this morning, and she thinks that he'll be able to come home this coming week. And then last night, I had to have our equine vet, Dr. Kennedy, come out for one of our horses because she was colicking, which can often happen when the weather changes. And we've had an exceptionally warm fall, and now it's become cold. And she's very old. The horse in particular that I'm speaking about, Nutmeg, she's pretty old. And so, but she's doing way better. But yeah, it's definitely something that does require a fair amount of money, but a lot of work, and just a lot of labor. And we have, like I say, I feel so blessed and grateful for the volunteers who come and give of their time, and it's just wonderful to have that type of community support.
Yeah. How do people find out about you to donate?
Well,
I'll link in the show notes.
Oh, so well, through our website, but I wanted to say also, we went through the process of becoming an accredited organization through the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries. And we received the accreditation in January of 2021. And so that's an opportunity to also have the name of the organization out there, and that people can see that, we are accredited, we are doing our very best, and we hold high standards. People find out about us probably also through Googling. That's how some people have contacted me about wanting to volunteer, through just looking for an animal sanctuary in the local area. So they find out about us that way. We work with our local, it's called SCRAP, Spokane County Regional Animal Protection Services, and we provide foster care. We have provided foster care for animals who have been seized. The most recent ones were 2 horses that came from a seizure, and some other animals too. And they were being severely neglected. And the day they arrived, there were 2 mares. And they said, well, this one, she might be pregnant. And I'm thinking, there's no way she is. And if she is, it's going to be months. The very next day, I was at school, and Peter sent me a photograph of a foal standing by her side. She had her foal. She had a baby the very next day after being brought here by Scraps. And the nice end of the story is that those horses were released. The original person did not get them back, and we were able to place them into wonderful homes. One of our volunteers, Dulcie, adopted one of the horses, Mariah, and then our other volunteers, Jessica and Delaney, adopted Breezy and her full zoo. And so it was a really happy story. Anyway, so just through working with other agencies and just through community involvement, outreach, different ways like that, I guess that's how people find us.
Wow. Are you open every day to the public?
We don't have set hours because we live here. And while we are a 501c nonprofit organization, we're a little bit different from your traditional shelter where they have set hours. We don't have employees. And so we have people can visit us by appointment. We offer tours on Sundays, although we didn't have one today. And then weather permitting, we may continue to offer them through November and December. Again, it depends on the weather because it can get pretty snowy and icy. And so we have to be really mindful of how the weather conditions are and the road conditions are. Like I said, when we have our events, then we're open at that time, but we don't really provide set hours. It's really difficult too. The other reason is because you just don't know when something's going to happen. Like if we had open hours yesterday, I would be pulled away from being with the public or people visiting because I'd be dealing with Nutmeg and her colic and that type of thing. So, but we do offer opportunities for people to come out.
That's great. What about Halloween? You think you're going to get any trick-or-treaters?
We have never had a trick-or-treater out here. We are located next to Riverside State Park, which is about a 14,000 acre state park. And so on two sides of us, there's that. And while it only takes me about 15 minutes to get to my school where I teach, I think because Riverside State Park, it feels like we're a little bit further out. So we've never had a trick-or-treater. So at this point, I think I'd be a little bit nervous if somebody came knocking on the door on our door on Halloween. So, but you never know. We do get pumpkins from the public, pumpkins for the animals, and we like it if they're, not. We prefer that they not be carved, and of course, nothing with any mold or that type of thing. Our fall event, like I said, was last week, and that was like our harvest event, where we, fed the animals different like squashes and pumpkin, some watermelons, that type of thing.
Nice. Well, so they're not dressing up for Halloween, I take it then.
They're just dressing up as themselves.
So that's so cool that I don't know how you have time to be a teacher and run. I mean, it's like you have two full-time jobs.
It is, and it gets a little overwhelming sometimes, but I feel like it's our purpose, and I don't mean that in a corny way. It absolutely feels like it's our purpose in everything. I would say the vast majority of every decision that we make out here is based on the organization. Our goal is for this organization to continue beyond us. And we're located on 65 acres in Northwest Spokane County. When we moved in here, it was just a little farmhouse, and there was a 3-sided metal shed. And then there was a barn that had burned. So it was it needed a lot of work. And at that time, like I say, we had no intention of having a sanctuary or anything. We weren't thinking in those ways. But over years, it has definitely grown. And now we have 3 large barns. We've got our big hay barn. We have our big barn that provides shelter for some of our pigs and little horses and 2 donkeys. And it will also provide a kind of a quarantine space where if someone is not feeling well, we can put them in there. We have a feed room in there. And then we were just able to put up a cow barn. And so I'm pretty excited about being able to let cows in there. We still have to raise the level of the ground. So definitely all of the decisions that we make here are virtually, it's for the animals and it's for the present and the future of this organization. So as far as having the time, it's not just me, it's my husband, it's our volunteers. We have a very, very supportive community of volunteers and our board of directors. They make all the difference. But it will be nice when I can retire from teaching and be here too.
Jesse says, is that a doggy behind you on a chair?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is Frisco. And he came to us about 5 years ago. He was in a situation, I guess he belonged to a family that was being deployed overseas. And then, so he was placed with another lady who then placed him with her niece, and her niece's boyfriend didn't like the dog, and he had some health issues. He came to us, and so he was older at that time. He has a heart murmur, and so he receives medication.
That's cool.
He's a sweet little guy.
I love it. Do you have a YouTube channel or a social media presence if people wanted to see the animals? I know that some of the rescues, like they'll make videos and put it up on YouTube so people can see, especially if they're donating on a monthly basis.
So I guess we have and I apologize that I'm not more tech savvy, but I guess we do have a YouTube channel. We don't have a lot on there right now. We have Instagram. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We have our website. We don't have Twitter. We're not on TikTok, but maybe we'll get there. I'm not sure. But people can definitely find us on Instagram and on Facebook. Okay. And we also have, events that we do. Like our next event that we're holding, weather permitting, is called Black Sheep Friday. And it's the day after Thanksgiving. And it was developed by, I think it was Driftwood Magazine over in Seattle. It was developed by them many years ago, pre-pandemic days, where sanctuaries could offer an opportunity for people to come out and volunteer the day after Thanksgiving, rather than go shopping, or maybe in addition to going shopping. And so that's been really kind of a fun event. We've done it a few times. And people come out and they're really excited. They help us, just do all kinds of things that need to be done. And it's a cool event. Again, because of where we're located, a lot depends on how the road conditions are and, what the weather's like. But that is our next planned event. We also have a holiday catalog coming up. That will be starting in November. A holiday catalog, and people can do sponsorships, and they can also buy really cute things that have pictures of our animals on them, like little Kelly, who is our board chair, and she also does our marketing. She just sent me pictures of these little coasters with the animals, with animal pictures like Nigel and Rudy and Velvet on there. And so we're also maybe going to get tea towels, and there's going to be some calendars, that type of thing.
Wow.
But I also want to speak again to this book. This, to me, I was so honored. Peter and I were so honored to be invited to contribute to this book. And Joanne is such a lovely person. And it's full of amazing stories from so many different people. So I just wanted to, really give a plug for this book because it's wonderful.
It's a beautiful book. And it's now on Audible. It wasn't on Audible when she came on the show, so I'm happy I can listen to it now.
Yeah.
What are the different workshops that you offer? I was reading in your bio, an art workshop, a compassion workshop. How often are those? Are those only in person?
So we collaborate with the Spokane Art School every summer, and we offer art and animal workshops. We offer them at least 3 times a summer, and they're generally a week long, sometimes more. Sometimes we offer 4 of them or 5 of them. It just, kind of depends on who's teaching them. So there have been times when I teach them. Originally, I led them. But we've also had 3 other young people, young artists, who have also led them. And so it's a very nice, and what's cool about it is that the kids work outside. We have this beautiful covered pavilion out by the garden that was actually an Eagle Scout project. And the students work out there, but they also have an opportunity to visit and just be with the horses and the goats and the sheep and the pigs, and visit with the animals too. And what we hope to do is help create that connection of compassion and empathy for others, seeing others, animals, the sentient beings who live here, the residents who live here, and translating that into expression, visual arts. And so the kids always have a wonderful time here. We do have adults out too. Sometimes my husband has offered jewelry workshops, and those are geared more for adults because of the tools and equipment that they're using. So yeah, we do offer the art and animal workshops. I'm going to hopefully be offering some workshops later in the spring called I Am Someone, Not Something. And it would be like a painting workshop. I did offer one once before. Other workshops, my friend Diana Roberts, who passed away a few years ago, we offered compassionate living workshops. And she was more of the scientist. And I was the one who worked directly with the animals here. But Diana was able to approach things more from a scientific view. But our compassionate living workshops, I felt were important. I still have the PowerPoint that she created, and we do offer those as well. So we also offer garden to table workshops because we have a very large garden that was created by volunteers. Our volunteer Nancy it was her idea and she created it. It's about 9,500 square feet. It's called Rabbit's Garden, and the produce is grown for the animals, but it also provides a beautiful like bee and bird garden too, because there's some beautiful flowers and plants there as well.
How many different species of animals do you have? How many of each?
Oh, okay. At present, we have 5 dogs. One of the dogs we are fostering for a man who is living at the vet's home, and he can't have his dog Shiloh there, so we take care of Shiloh here. We have about 30 bunnies. All of the rabbits are spayed and neutered. We follow the House Rabbit Society philosophy, where when we do adoptions, we want them to be house rabbits. We have 2 turkeys, Blossom and Violet. We've had to adhere to certain protocols because of the avian influenza has been really serious this year. And so we have had to have the birds basically in lockdown. We haven't been able to have people enter where they are because of the avian influenza. It's very serious, but hopefully at some point that'll, we'll be able to lift those challenges of having them, off away from the public. Anyway, so we have, we have a few roosters. Well, we've got about 8 roosters. A few of them are special needs. Samuel is blind. Wendell has a neurological disorder that he was born with. But, he does just fine. He's very happy. We have a couple of geese. We have 3 ducks. We have 11 pigs. 3 of them are large pigs, and 8 of them are, I guess you would call them in the miniature pig category. So the idea of the teacup pig is not a thing. It's not real. In fact, we have one who was supposedly going to be a teacup pig, and she's over 200 pounds. And so that unfortunately is a fallacy. And the sad thing about it is that people contact us and other rescues and sanctuaries wanting to find homes for their pigs, along with many other animals. And everybody's full. It's so sad. And I wish that people would quit breeding them and quit advertising them as though they're a real thing. We have 9 sheep. Okay, so 4 of them are less than a year. 3 of them came to us at a day old, when their lives were not, when they were going to be killed. And then another one became an orphan, and we received him when he was a day old too. His mother rejected him no matter what they did. And his name is Marley. He's very funny. And then the others are a little bit older, and some of them are well into their teens. We have, so let's see, the goats. We have 12 goats. We have 7 little horses. We have 1 little donkey, 1 regular sized donkey. We have 12 large sized horses. And like I say, the majority of them are seniors. And we have 7 bovines. We just received one a couple of weeks ago, and his name is Curly. And he had been neglected pretty severely when he was a little guy. And so I won't go too far into his story, but he is just a doll. And so he is going to live out his life here. We do adoptions, but other animals live out their lives here as well.
Nice.
And then I'm really looking forward to bringing Rudy home. Rudy the steer, Rudy the Jersey steer.
Do they all get along with each other?
Oh, all of the different species?
Well, and within species, like, do all the rabbits get along, and do, you know?
Oh, okay. Rabbits are really territorial. So, no. So the rabbits have their different areas where they live. And when you're introducing, like, people will look for a companion for their bunny. And so we say, okay, we'll bring your bunny out. You know, they need to be spayed or neutered for a bunny date. If we have, you know, an individual that we can introduce them to. Sometimes they hit it off, and sometimes, you know, there's an immediate fight. So they're super territorial. But they're a highly misunderstood animal. They're wonderful. They're most active at dawn and dusk, and they make great house companions, just like a dog or a cat. You know, I would say, just like people, I would say that the animals are also territorial. I think that the bovines definitely accept one another more readily. The horses can be territorial. We have a couple of different groups where we have them because we have these 2 girls who we call the mean girls. We love them, but they definitely have their own clique. And so it's really hard to have them with the others because they're mean. I mean, they chase after the others and they kick and they, you know, all of that. They're great with people. So, you know, they're all individuals. And so it's going to depend on the individual and who gets along with who. And they kind of find their own partners here, their own little groups here. We have a wonderful pig whose name is Blitzen. Blitzen lived the first 7 years of his life at a motel. And he lived inside the motel, but he was also able to wander around outside as well. And we received a call about him needing a home, needing placement about 2 years ago. And so I went out to meet him. He had these really long tusks that were growing into his cheeks. He was not neutered, but he was very friendly. And when they let him out of the hotel room, he started running up to the highway. And there's tons of cars there. And I said, wait. And the man said, oh, no, he knows the boundaries. Don't worry. He's not going to run out there. And he didn't. He turned around and he went to visit his different neighbors. And he was pretty underweight. He wasn't being fed properly. He has a permanent situation where his tongue is always hanging out. The veterinarians don't really know why that is, and kind of adds to his character. So we brought him home, and that was in December because he had been used to living inside. My husband let us move him into his shop, and so he had a nice warm place to be for the wintertime. We took him down to Washington State University, had him neutered. They trimmed off they cut back his tusk. And they didn't really know why his tongue does what it does. But his name's Blitzen. Okay, so why I started talking about him was because when we talk about animals getting along with one another, pigs are territorial. And we thought, oh, Blitzen wants to be with other pigs. We were just sure of it. Well, we tried for months and he didn't like it and he wasn't nice. And the others were not pleased with him and they were afraid of him. So Blitzen now has his own space. It's a pretty nice space. It's a wonderful shelter. And then this winter, here probably in the next several weeks, he'll be moving back into Pete's shop, where, you know, he'll have lots of attention and he gets a lot of attention anyway. But no, he doesn't like other pigs. So they're all individuals, just like us.
Wow. Do you remember everyone's name?
I do. I will say that my memory's not as good as it used to be. That's for sure, about anything. Okay. But so sometimes I have to, oh yeah, that's right. But yes, I do remember names. And
Nice.
I see over 400 students every week at school. And I'm getting to where I know a good majority of their names. But so that's actually good. It's good practice, good mental practice. But yeah, my memory's not quite as good as it used to be.
You know, I put a link in the show notes, but I'll also put it in the chat now if people want to make a donation. But what I think people need to know is even if they didn't want to make a monetary donation, you're on Amazon Smile.
Oh, we are. And yes, we definitely are. That's wonderful. And we also have, I think we have a wish list on there too. But yes, we are on Amazon Smile. Yeah, thank you.
What is a wish list? Let me go look on that. I didn't know what that. So are you looking for certain items to be donated?
Oh, that's, again, I'm not tech savvy. I didn't create it. I believe that it was created a few years ago, so I haven't looked at it recently. We recently did receive a really nice carrier from someone through our wish list. We have a number of carriers that we use and also keep to the side in the event if we were to have to evacuate. We would want to have those available. A few years ago, we purchased 8 2,500-gallon water tanks, and we keep those full late spring through late fall. And we have pumps and fire hose that go with those in the event that we were in a wildfire. We have those, and we also have, our evacuation plan, and we have individuals who can come and help evacuate and that type of thing. That's a whole nother story. But the carriers are really handy to have for that. So yes, Amazon Smile is wonderful.
Do you work with other animal sanctuaries or rescues, like in case of emergency? Do you guys help each other out?
I would say the natural disaster that we would face up here in our area in Eastern Washington would be wildfire. We would help, and we're certainly happy to help others. The thing is, we're all kind of in the path in this local area. A friend of mine has a sanctuary 5 minutes away. Another has a sanctuary about 20 minutes away or something like that. So we help, but what we have also is we have a great local organization called Heart, and they send out a team of people to help. And then there's another organization called, that's with Scope, and they send out teams to help individuals also who, not just sanctuaries, but also individuals who have animals who may need to be evacuated. We do work with other organizations. I remember back in, when was it? It was several years ago. We called it the Great Hen Trek North. And we received 60 former factory farm egg laying hens from a factory farm down in California. and an organization down in California called Harvest Home. I think it was both Harvest Home and Animal Place were both involved in this. And so a friend of ours who worked at Harvest Home transported 60 hens up here, and we placed them. We adopted them out into appropriate homes. And so, you know, we've worked with organizations to help place animals, offer permanent sanctuary, or maybe temporary sanctuary while we try and find another home. I don't know if that answers your question, but
do you like celebrate their birthdays? Like, but there's a lot of them. There's probably a birthday every day with 120, 30 animals.
You know, there probably would be, but we don't know how old most of them are. When the majority of the animals come to us, when we hear about them, we don't know how old they are unless they were born here. And we do not breed animals. So animals aren't born here unless they are pregnant when they come here. And that has happened. Like with Breezy, the horse. She was, and she had that foal the next day. So we know when he was born. We rescued two horses who were headed to slaughter back in 2005. And they were both, they suspected that they were both pregnant. One was a former PMU mare, and the other was a mare that was just in need of rescue. She was going to be headed to slaughter. They were both pregnant. And so we were actually present during the time when the foals were born, which was very exciting. Graciela was born on May 5th of 2006, and we placed her into a wonderful home. And then Tucker was born June 2nd of 2006, just a few weeks after her. And so, you know, we know their birthdays, but like I say, the vast majority of the animals we don't. But yeah, I guess would if we knew everybody's birthday, but that would be a whole lot of celebrating.
Absolutely. That'd be a whole lot of hay, right?
It's a lot of hay. Yeah.
You know, it would be fun to be able to go outside if you come on again to actually see the animals, but we'll do the next best thing. I'd like to end, if you don't mind, with a little video that you put together of the sanctuary of the animals.
Is that the virtual tour?
Yes.
Is that what that
River's
is?
Wish.
Okay.
I'll play it.
Okay. And I love that. Okay. That one was, that was prior to when we received bovines. So we need to make a new one, but it's a beautiful video anyway. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for.
Well, thank you so much for the work you do, Kit. So I'm gonna share. I'm not very tech savvy either, but I'm gonna share my screen. And okay. I got to figure out how to play this. I think I'm gonna do it correctly. There we go. Are you seeing it?
Yeah.
They're seeing it. I think they're seeing my desktop. Oh no, I don't think I did this correctly. Hold on. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry. I am not good at this at all. It's playing the music, but I don't think it's showing the video. All right. I think we have to, this is not easy. All right. Well, I'm so sorry, guys. Let's see if we can do this again. But, oh man. All right, I'll try it one more time. I am not the best at this, and I apologize. It was showing my desktop, but it wasn't showing the video. So let's try again.
Now, if you can click on.
That was a beautiful video.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for showing that.
My pleasure. And those bunnies are just, I mean, they're all adorable, but there's something about those bunnies, huh?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Shoot, now I'm playing it again. It's like first I can't get it to play, and then now it won't stop playing. Well, thanks again, Kit. This was really beautiful. And you know why we love one and eat another, I will never know. But thank you so much for the work you do.
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity, Chef AJ. I think you're amazing, and I love what you do. And yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please back tomorrow when my guest is Kelly Morgan. She is from Veggie Mom Cooks. Take care, everyone.